Patty Christensen here, hand CRPS lady. Wanted to do a video about my cooking adventure, my clam chowder. I wanted to make it a little healthier for me, so in lieu of cow's product, it was made with goat's milk, and instead of white potatoes, it was made with sweet potatoes. And then I had this recipe that I was going off of, but the recipe had called for spices I don't have and all kinds of stuff. So I assumed my creation was going to be nasty. So I didn't write anything down. I just figured I was going to be wasting 2 quarts of goat's milk. But anyway, it actually turned out really, really good. So then I had to go back in my mind and figure out, by the way, this has been in the fridge, so it's super, super thick. But it actually turned out really well. So I made what I think I did. Not sure. But, sorry, it was 1 quart of goat's milk, not 2. 1 quart raw goat's milk, and I let that simmer for a while to kind of thicken it up. Frankly, I was doing other things, so I don't know how long it simmered. And then I put in a cup of freeze-dried onion bits. Again, absorbing that moisture. A 1/2 cup of celery. I had to, or so. I don't measure. I just don't. I had to use fresh because I didn't have any freeze-dried. So there's some going in the freeze dryer right now. And then about a 1/4 cup or so of my big tub o' minced garlic. I added a tablespoon or so of fish sauce. A bunch, so I'd say like 3 tablespoons of coconut aminos. A teaspoon of ginger. Ginger I love. About 5 splashes of hot sauce. And because I didn't have any of the seasonings that they were talking about, but I had something called Italian seasoning, that's the mixture. So I put in about a teaspoon of that. And I let that simmer for 10 minutes. Again, I'm doing other things. I don't know exactly if that was the right amount of time. And then I put in, I didn't want to hassle with cooking and cutting bacon, but I did have a thing of bacon bits. It's probably not healthy, but oh well. Put in about a whole bunch of that, maybe a cup of bacon bits. And then to help thicken it, and even the recipe called for flour, except mine is a nut flour, an almond flour that I used instead. And then you're supposed to open your can o' clam and dump in the juice, only the juice. So I put in that 3. And then I chopped up a whole bunch of sweet potato. So like 2 big sweet potatoes. So there's a lot of sweet potato in there. So I put 2 cups finely chopped. I don't know. Again, I don't measure. And then I let that cook really, really high-ish, I guess you'd call it, for about 10 minutes until the sweet potatoes felt, mushy, good. And then I put in the 3 cans of clam, the actual clam. At that point, I just turned the heat off and let it sit, because everything in there was so warm that I knew it would just cook the clam, and I didn't have time to mess with it right then, so let that sit for a bit. And then as soon as it was cooled enough, I took some out and in a little spoon cup thing out to my husband, who was working in the garden, because he's my guinea pig, and he was like, "This is actually really good." And he wasn't being nice. It really was, because he came in and ate a bunch of it that I was going to freeze dry. So instead of having 2 trays in the freeze dryer of clam chowder, I only have 1 with this much left over to eat on, plus all the stuff we ate. So there you go, my sort of kind of healthier, I guess, clam chowder recipe, as best as I can do recipes.